What is going on, Cubs fam? We are back for another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes whale chat. And my people, I have brought on a stellar group to talk to you guys today. Let's go ahead and pull up the group right now. We are joined by a couple familiar faces and a brand new face that I am beyond stoked to have on the whale chat today. We have got we got Ranger. Ranger's you're a super regular attendee of the whale chat. How's it going, Ranger?
Well, it's going well, man. I'm just trying to come up with new recipes for cake that everyone can enjoy and not share it.
Okay, all right, there you go. Ram Bam is here. He's our former whale, now no longer spending. You still no longer spending, Ram? You're still holding your guns?
Still holding my guns, Cubs.
Good man, good man. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on the channel. It's always a pleasure.
Right on, right on. And then Partik, our resident Kraken, likely, I would say. How you doing, Partik?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Right on. Yep. Glad to have you. And then the honorary guest of today is the one and only Darth Cohen. I told everyone about Darth Cohen's channel recently in a video. I've got a link down to his channel in the description below. Also, Ram Bam and Ranger are making content, and so we got links to their stuff down below. Darth Cohen, how you doing, man? Welcome to the Whale Chat.
Thanks for having me, Cubs.
You are welcome. And everyone else is accounted on their spending level on the game. You're kind of more on the dolphin side of things, I think it was. Is that right? I noticed your name is yellow in your video, so you at least bought the hyperdrive bundle.
Yes.
So where are you at all time, lifetime on spending, roughly?
Under 1,000.
Under 1,000. Okay. All right. Well, I'd say that's probably dolphin to minnow level. So, okay, great. Well, everyone, we got a great agenda lined up for you guys today. We got some communication from CG. We're going to talk a little bit about 3v3 Grand Arena and how everyone feels about it. Do we even want this in the game? I got some inside info, some peeks at Galactic challenges we're going to talk about as well, and then we've got, as normal, a Q&A. So getting it started with the turn meter update. We have this update with the client update coming up soon. We're going to have a turn meter adjusted so that there's less RNG involved. And so I wanted to get a general pulse on how everyone feels about this change. Partik, let's start with you. How are you feeling about that change?
I'm excited about it. I mean, I think predictability in this area is something that has been lacking for a long time, and there seems to be more of an emphasis now on teams that manipulate turn meter. You know, we were talking last time about this element of the Mon Mothma teams. You know, this is also an issue with resistance teams involving Hero Finn and Hero Poe and BB-8 especially. There are lots of teams now that where bonus turn meter is flying around and you can have turn meter ties, and there hasn't really been a mechanism to predict how those ties would be resolved.
Right.
And so if you have particular counter setup that requires specific turn order, you know, it used to be the case that we would have to change, like you would have to increase the speed differential between characters that you wanted to go in a specific order, so that you reduced the likelihood that a turn meter tie would occur and thus mess up the turn order of your counter. So, you know, I think having some more predictability, or at least an understanding from CG about the mechanics of this occurrence, I think will be very helpful for guilds, particularly trying to come up with like territory war counters, or for people in GAC working on different teams to introduce some predictability and stability in modding instructions and other things that will affect how these mechanics work.
Very expert breakdown. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense, and I like how you brought in the guild's preparation. And at your level in Paw Patrol, very, very high level of competition, where you are at super end game advanced category of gameplay. Cohen, I wanna ask you a question about this because you're kind of on the other side. You're sitting at 1.8 million galactic power, a little bit more on the casual side of things, more mid to beginning game kind of things. Did you see CG's post, and how did you feel about it? Was it something that even concerned you, or where were you at on that?
Well, Cubs, here's the thing. CG finally gives us a post that we can all relate
They finally gave us a post we can all relate to.
Yes, they finally gave us a post. Now, if only CG can give us content to map
Yeah, yeah.
and everything. But anyway, this turn meter thing, it's going to be crucial to the future of the game because there's a lot of turn meter manipulation and everything. And you know what? I feel that this will be for the game's best interest for the foreseeable future and
Okay.
everything. That is how I view that and everything.
Okay, so all aspects of the game, top end, kind of towards more the beginning game. It's all I guess thumbs up all around. It sounds like. And Cohen, if there's a way for you to turn up your volume, you are still coming in a little bit quiet. Would love to hear you a little bit clearer. Ranger and Rambam, anything else you guys would want to add to that turn meter update discussion?
No, I think it's good. I mean, how many times have we been in matches where we're like, what happened? No. It's
Yeah.
like, I think anytime you get rid of RNG, a coin flip,
Yeah.
especially when you work so hard on this stuff and you get a result where you can kind of know what to expect. I mean, there's still going to be RNG involved. You never know when a dodge or something's going to hit. You're like, well, I mean, I had 170% potency. I'm glad to see none of my dots hit. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really good. I was kind of impressed. I know Finn's going to be doing a video on it
Okay.
here today on it because he's the math guy. I mean, I am exceptional at math, but I hate doing it. So I'm like, hey Finn, you want to do a video on this? He's like, yeah, let's be super. Like, you go for it, buddy.
That
Because it is a
sums
little
me up so
complicated.
well. I remember when I was a kid, I was told all the time, "You're really good at math," and I was like, "But I freaking hate it." And so
Can I just say-
I never did it very well because I just
Yeah,
hated
man.
it.
Can I just say how giddy I am, Darth Cohen? I am a huge fan, brother. I was introduced to you with Mort, and I think you're brilliant, man. I'm so happy right now with the
you very
legend,
much.
Darth Cohen. You're awesome, dude.
Thank you very much.
I had to say it, man. I was like a little
I love how
schoolgirl.
Ranger's in here. I ask him his first question. He takes his first opportunity to answer a question to fangirl on Cohen.
Yeah, deal with it, man.
No, and I'm gonna second what Ranger said. I think anytime that CG gives us an update and not only gives us an explanation and takes out RNG, but they do a good update. They take out they give us an explanation as to why, what's happening, and how how things are gonna go about in the new title update and all that stuff. I think it's great. I
Right.
can't tell you how many times I've been in Grand Arena where I'm supposed to take a turn. Why are they taking a turn? Why did my character die? Like, what's going
know.
on?
I see it all
RNG
the time with
sucks, so-
CLS, right? Where I do call to action and then somebody else goes. I'm just like, what the freak? That
And
was
even
me.
even
That was
yeah.
me.
and even the fact that they went in so in depth to the point where they're like, hey, look, if you swap turn meter with Thrawn, that's how that's going to work too. And Thrawn's going to, the turn meter swap is going to take precedence or whatever the case. I like that. That gives some predictability, and that's always good in our line of work.
Okay. Good. So, very good discussion on the 3v3. I really think it's one of the first things I've seen in quite some time from CG where it's just, there's really no criticism, hardly all. I think the only criticism I saw, to some respect, was I saw some people who were like, well, this is what you're addressing right now when we've got all of these bugs and a lack of content. I've got some things I would say to that, but
fair criticism.
Okay, so tell me where your perspective's at on that, Ranger.
Because CG, and I've been giving them a lot of credit lately. I've been one of their bigger cheerleaders, but I still think their lack of communication. We talked about this on the Wednesday night stream. It's the frustrating thing about CG.
Yeah.
They put stuff out and then they don't say anything. And then when something bad happens, sometimes they address it if it's, and sometimes they don't. I mean, the issue with the bugs and stuff, Finn made a great point about this on Wednesday, where it was just say something. Say, we were aware of this. We know what's going on. You know what? It's still an issue. We're working on it. Here's some crystals.
They have
be
a whole Reddit account
interactive.
for that, a whole Reddit account that just goes on and says, we already flagged this as a bug. That's all they do.
I know, but that's not good enough. Oh, thanks.
You don't care.
Yeah, we do not care. So, okay.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's not that they don't care. It's just, I don't know if they don't care because they don't communicate and interact enough, right? It's one of my biggest issues because I think they've been doing a great job with a lot of the stuff that they've been doing lately, right? But you know, uh, when things are good, great, you don't really have to say much, but when they're bad, you kind of have to get ahead of it. And sometimes
Yeah.
they just suck at it. Actually, they suck at it a lot sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be nitpicky and be like, yeah, they should be talking about something else, I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe all the crashes in the game, that might be a better thing to address. But if that's being nitpicky in my opinion. I mean, the fact that they came out and they addressed something about the next title update, including this whole removal of RNG with speed type thing, or just at least some clarification of it.
Mm.
I'm happy that they at least communicated it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I'm happy that
but
they went so in depth because they literally could have just said, "Hey, we're gonna, everybody's gonna have speed overflow," and cool. That's the end of the post. But no, they actually gave examples. They went in depth
It
on
was
it and
in depth,
explained
yeah.
it, and that's what I enjoy about it. I mean, yeah, the communication sucks, but
So,
has communication really been great in 5 years?
if I could sum up, I guess, the pulse of the chat on this, tell me if this is fair or if anyone disagrees. But this post is great. The post was handled well. It's an issue that needed to be addressed. We're happy it was addressed. It doesn't necessarily improve how we feel about CG's ability to communicate with the community. It doesn't really change much on how we, I guess, perceive that issue. But the post itself, in a microcosm, was good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
well, yeah, you can give them credit for what they just put out and say it's fantastic, right? It still doesn't. There's separate issues, right?
Right.
Where you can say this is really good and this is not so good, right? I think you can. They're their own category, right? Where I'm very appreciative of what they put out, and I love the turn meter change. But then there's still the giant elephant in the room that's sitting over here that's not really been talked about.
Yeah, there's a surprising amount of issues in the game right now that are left unaddressed. So, all right, let's shift the conversation. Before we get into a little bit of a tidbit of Galactic challenges that I have learned, I want to talk about 3v3 Grand Arena. This is something I see a lot of discussion about 3v3 and a lot of different opinions about 3v3, and I just wanted to hear what you guys think about 3v3. Is 3v3 good for the game? Is it good for Grand Arena? It's so unique in the sense that it's the only area of the game we ever really experience 3v3, and so it really blows up a lot of what we're used to. So, Cohen, I want to give you a chance to answer this first. Do you feel like 3v3 is good for the game?
Absolutely. It is an excellent game mode for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I mean, it's not 5v5, but 3v3 opens up a lot more in terms of theory crafting, no matter where you are in the game. Basically, is where I'm coming from here. And you know what? 3v3 may cause us to rage from time to time. I know many of you have had your fair share of rage moments. I know I have. But you know what? It's modes like 3v3 that need to continue to further enhance this game for the future. And you know what? Capital Games likes to mix it up every once in a while. Sometimes they give us 5v5 in Grand Arena. Sometimes they give us 3v3. It's the essence of life as far as Galaxy of Heroes goes.
So, okay, I'm going to quote you on that. So 3v3 Grand Arena equals the essence of life.
Yes.
Cohen, you say I love you so much. You say the funniest dang things. So I want to agree with Cohen on what the thing I think that I agree with the most about what you just said, Cohen, that I think is very healthy for the game is that 3v3 has some of the most unique theory crafting in the entire game. Because of the nature of 3v3. And I also do I especially like when it induces rage when I'm watching someone like yourself or someone like Ranger or somebody like Ram Bam, somebody other than myself, Rage. When I'm experiencing that rage, I know you guys enjoy that, but it definitely does seem to induce some rage. Any other opinions? I'll leave it open for the other three of you. Do you guys agree with what Cohen said, or any differing takes?
I'm a dissenter, but does anybody want to, any else dissenting with that opinion, or is I'm the only one?
I am largely in agreement, but with a reservation.
Okay, tell me what your reservation is.
My reservation is that 3v3 right now, at least at the end game, is too dominated by unsolved bugs and glitches with the GLs. So like if for most of these matchups, and like I mean in my GP band, I'm facing the same 30 people every group basically.
Right.
It's a sort of a small round robin. And so many of these matches are determined by the fact that the zombie advantage bug hasn't been fixed. Where like you have, and then if you're setting like SLKR with zombie and another Night Sister, that sort of just totally changes the board about what counters are available. And then you have like cheese teams for that. Like there's like a Gas Fives Chewy team that you can use as a counter. And then you have GL Ray, who I mean is obviously just super strong to begin with. Then you have this like Ray Han Chewy team that I used a lot in the last 3v3, which has this issue where I mean it's sort of, this is an intended interaction, but like you put Chewy gives guard to both Ray and Han, and then Ray gets all these benefits from that.
Right.
But then, basically in 3v3, the whole idea of countering Ray is to like avoid putting one of her allies into a low health status to trigger her whirlwind. But like sometimes that's just unavoidable because you're sort of forced to hit someone. And so there's not really anything inherently wrong with it other than I think the GL compositions and the counters are just playing such an outsized role in how these 3v3 battles are going in a way that they do not in 5v5.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoy it. Like, I know a lot of people at sort of the end game just don't participate in threes because it's like you have to learn a whole different set of counters and follow this whole, it's just like a very different set of challenges, and like with people just don't have time or interest for that. So, I mean, I am sort of curious what the level of engagement is overall in 3v3 Grand Arena versus 5v5, because I suspect it's markedly lower. That doesn't mean it's worse. Like, I enjoyed quite a bit, but I do not enjoy as much how dominated the matches are by the GL choices.
Okay, I think this is a really good point, and I want to call out just kind of, so it sounds like your opinion is rooted in there's some bugs that need to be fixed, and GLs have skewed matches for various reasons. Outside of that, you think it's good, right?
Yeah, I really like having something different. I mean, it gives you so many different options for putting teams together, sort of compositions that just would not work with a full roster can be interesting in threes. You have more opportunities to set sort of strange stuff that's still effective, and it's less formulaic, which I really like.
I agree. I'm curious, and I wanna bring up this point because this is something that we've talked about before. But I really feel like Galactic Legends in 3v3 are just way too OP. By themselves, they are just, in my humble opinion, which I keep getting crap for saying in my humble opinion too much, and I just said it. I'm trying not to say that. It's like I'm trying to break a habit here. In my opinion, I think that I feel like Galactic Legends are just too powerful in and of themselves. When you get 5v5, it's something more manageable, but in 3v3 it just becomes ridiculous. Does anybody feel like 3v3 would be more balanced if Galactic Legends weren't allowed in 3v3, or do you think it's just a problem that is just unfixable?
So I had this discussion on my one of my guys in my server asked me about this, and I love 3v3. Tell me when the last time Savage Opress and Poggle Lee have gotten between them 15 holds on defense. When? Can't remember.
I still don't know of a time, so it sounds
No.
like maybe you did.
Yeah, exactly. And so
Okay.
I like the differentiation of it where it's stuff that you don't normally see. It's stuff that
Right.
you have to kind of dig into your roster and figure out characters that are going to throw your opponent off, and
Yep.
no one really knows, what your you can place normal counters, but then normal counters don't really work because they go off a basis of 5v5 instead of 3v3. The problem I have is 3v3 would be amazing if we had two things. First off, remove GLs because every counter for the most part is based off of a 5v5 GL counter, right?
Right.
If you
Mhm.
can't take two characters in there, and so you're going off a 3v3 counter, and Ray is a lot harder to beat on defense than Kylo in 3v3, whereas it's the opposite, I feel, for 5v5. Kylo's harder to beat, in my opinion, on defense in 5v5. So take out GLs completely, and I think 3v3 becomes a lot better. Second portion, what makes 3v3 a lot more difficult. 5v5, you can practice. You
Mm,
can go in squad arena and you can sit here and be like, all right, if you're
Absolutely.
cool with your squad mates, you can go in there and you can practice and be like, all right, throw this team on there. I'm going to throw this team on there. We'll do comparable mods and we can kind of practice counters and whatnot. You don't have that for 3v3. You can again do 3v3 in squad arena, but it's a lot harder to coordinate that.
much harder.
So if we had something
Yeah.
to a sandbox mode, maybe Galactic Challenges is going to be that sandbox mode. Who knows?
Yeah.
If we had something where we could test 3v3 counters, that would be amazing for 3v3. And so I think that's the two things that 3v3 is missing to be like, in my opinion, probably my most favorite game mode. I love Grand Arena already, but 3v3 is just it's that added touch. And I mean, I'm sitting at 7-0 right now for Grand Arena. I love 3v3 Grand Arena, but
Very
it's
nice.
missing that stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's yeah.
And that's actually, so I saw a commentary on Reddit about this very thing, and that was the solution that I saw somebody raise about 3v3 is that they actually inherently like the game mode. There's just nowhere to practice it. And so it'd be really nice to have other areas of the game where you could actually experience 3v3 so that you're a little more prepared. And I think that's such a great point and maybe encapsulates why so many people are frustrated with 3v3 because it's just so unpredictable for them. And if you could practice it more, the theory crafting would maybe be more meaningful and rewarding because you could spend more time preparing. Cohen, I could tell you wanted to get on that conversation. Was there something you wanted to add on Rambam's points?
Well, you know what? In my opinion, I think GLs should be banned in 3v3 Grand Arena because you know what? I don't have a GL, but I can definitely see where it would be frustrating for someone in the upper end, the upper echelon of Grand Arena and everything. I could see where it would frustrate somebody. I could
Right.
see it and everything. And as for the Rayhan and Chewie thing, GL Ray, Han, and Chewie and everything, that's taking away from a CLS team that you could be potentially using on defense and everything. So maybe as far as Galactic Legends go, like Ray and everything, maybe you can restrict the characters. Maybe CG should restrict the characters that you can use with Ray. Like if they're rebels and everything, they should be limited to the rebel faction rather than mix and matching all these teams because that's kind of throwing off counters in 3v3 Grand Arena, kind of
Yeah.
limiting what a player can do. No, but
In
hell, it's Capital
reality,
Games' choice.
I
what
find
they
it
say.
unlikely they do that though. I do and a big reason why, if you guys have been here, for those of you who've been here long enough, Cohen, I don't know how long you've been in the game, but once upon a time we tried to do some bans on territory wars, and
I was about
Oh
to bring
yes,
that
I
up.
remember that.
yeah, the community flipped. And so while I actually agree with a lot of what you're saying, I feel like I would enjoy 3v3 more if Galactic Legends weren't there. 5v5,
Here's
keep them there. But I would be shocked if CG ever banned a character.
I don't think that they would ban them. Here's what I think that the fix should be. I would like to see them banned, me personally, and I have a Galactic Legend, and I would not mind if they banned Galactic Legends for 3v3. But I don't think that is ever going to happen. What I would like to see done
Yeah.
is uh, where they separate the 3v3s and the single GL owners and the double GL owners. For instance,
Mm,
based on GP alone, I am sitting here. I am one of 3 guys in my shard
Mhm.
this GAC round that has a
What's up?
single GL. Everybody else has doubles. so I feel outmatched.
Yeah.
And there's other people that I've been before who, have put up a good fight, but in the end, I have a GL, they don't.
Yep.
And so that again feels unfair.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you're gonna have GLs and you're gonna allow GLs, put the people that have one GL, put them all together.
Yep.
Put the people that have 2 GLs, put them all together. Let them figure that out. They spent the money or they got the character.
You
Let them use it, but don't don't take that away from the other players, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have so much to say.
I agree.
All right,
I know Ranger's
Ranger.
got something.
We've been
I
waiting
have
to hear
the
from
same thing.
Ranger.
All right, 3v3 is garbage, and I'm going to list out all the reasons
Yes,
why.
it
It's complete garbage. So you spend in this collection game, first of all this stuff talk about banning Galactic Legends. Well, then why not, when we had it first going on, gas? Remember when everybody had gas and the other people didn't, right? And then we had before that Darth Revan. So what's the line drawn? Just Galactic Legends, right? I mean, you're telling people that either spend money or bust their ass, and getting Galactic Legends, Jedi Luke, and all these characters is like it is awful. I'm working on Spring Leader Kylo
Right.
Ren and getting the tickets, and it's like, please God, make it end. Please stop. Just
Yeah.
like the drop rates are awful.
The
And
difference is these teams can be beat. GLs, if you don't have a GL, it's a
I do think
very
I do think Ranger it is different with GLs.
but see,
than it
that's the
was
problem.
with
It's not the
gas.
problem with GLs. It's the problem with 3v3 itself. What happens in in 3v3 is that certain teams get neutered and certain teams like Galactic Legends get more powerful because you don't have the way the game was designed, which is 5v5, to handle them. That's the problem. That's why I don't like 3v3. For instance, my bounty hunter team with Django, I can't use the whole team, and the whole team is what makes it so amazingly fun. You can still do stuff with it, but you know, Imperial Troopers. I love using Imperial Troopers, but they only work as a congruent 5v5 team, right? You can't go in with 3 Imperial Troopers, you're gonna get destroyed. They can't
Right.
do anything. So on one end, you've got teams that are completely destroyed that you can't really use. So some of those characters go out the door, right? Then you have other characters like Rey that in a normal 5v5, you can handle Rey easily. There's counters for Rey and Kylo in 5v5, but when you do threes, total different game because you don't have enough pieces and things to counter it, right? So it's not the issues of the Galactic Legends, it's the issue of the way the game is set up for
3v3 in general.
3v3. That's the problem with it, right? Um, and
Okay.
that's the problem. It's because Rey becomes so more powerful. And and so that's why I'm against 3v3. And this is a guy that I've only lost one 3v3 match ever, and that's because of a crash. So it's not like I'm like
Getting
coming at this
bait.
from getting beat, and I just don't like it. I compete and I do it, and I dominate. I think a couple things too is you know CG's looking at with 3v3s. I think it's just lazy, right? The whole year we spend on TW, TB, all these other game modes 5v5. The synergy, the mods, everything we do is for that purpose. And then all of a sudden we just do threes and it completely flips it on its head. And then if you really look at it, there's a meta to 3v3s. Certain counters are set up and certain teams are there. You once in a while you see a strange team, but for the most part, you see GLs in defense, you use this team. You see, gas here, you use this team. There's
Right.
counters that have already been established in 3v3. So I don't think, for some players it may be a little bit more shocking, but if you've been playing it long enough, you're just like, okay, there's Night Sisters. Padme, go kick their ass, right? Darth Vader's there, but see, let's go kick its ass, So it's not like there's not developed metas and counters that are out there. It's pretty much, there are spreadsheets on this stuff. But yeah, I just think 3v3, I don't think removing Galactic Legends is the thing. Now they can do a better job at matchmaking. I don't know what I don't think the current way that they have it is working, right? For instance, I'm facing someone that has 800,000 GP less than me, but they have a Galactic Legend, right? It's like,
Right.
that's not fair, right? They're not, that's going to be hard for them to win. So, they need to relook at the matchmaking. I think that's fine. If you want to have someone that has one Galactic Legend versus someone that has another Galactic Legend, that's cool. But then you have to balance other things like how much fluff they have and mods. It can get complicated.
Oh,
So
the
I just think
matchmaking issue is very complicated for sure. So I'm gonna agree with the first part of what you said, Ranger. I really agree with the logic of not banning characters. I think it's easy to look at it as, well, Galactic Legends are bad in 3v3. Let's just kick them out, and then 3v3 will be better. I do not feel like that it is that simple at all. I'm going to disagree, though, with you on what you said about the game was meant to be 5v5 and that kind of thing. And I think the way I see it is, yes, teams get nerfed or get stronger because of 3v3. And that's because 3v3 is a different game, in my opinion. 3v3 is not the same as 5v5. It's a completely different meta. There's completely different comps that work. And yeah, some comps, they're not going to work like they do in 5v5 because it's not 5v5. And so that's part of why I personally like 3v3, because it's just so different, and I find that refreshing personally. But I respect where you're coming from.
But it's unbalanced in both directions, and that's a problem. 5v5 is more balanced because the game's balanced toward that. So when I say
don't
that
see imbalance in anything but Galactic Legends personally.
Yeah, but other teams are useless, and then one spectrum, certain teams are just they're no good, and then the others it overemphasizes how powerful other teams are, right?
Because it's a different game. So some teams in 5v5 are like that.
Well, then
Yeah,
why
I
work
think-
on characters and tunes? I mean, what's the point? I mean, if in this game mode where it's like you can't use your roster, you feel frustrated because it's like
You can use your
certain
roster.
things that well, if
And
you can't
some
use
characters in
technical use
3v3
the
have more
character.
value that you don't get otherwise. And this game has always been rooted in farming for specific areas. Like, I'm going to farm specific characters for assault battles. I can do that. And they're not
If
going to
you-
work in other areas of the game. If I want to farm characters for 3v3, I can do that. They're only going to work there potentially.
What
if
I'm
that's
saying
what I'm
is,
farming them for.
if you busted your ass working on Imperial Troopers and they're completely neutered in 3v3, would you not feel frustrated at all by that, Cubs?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I would, because that's just they're a 5-man team. If I'm going into Imperial Troopers right now, I'm gonna farm Imperial Troopers. I have to have in my mind, like, this is a 5-person team, and they're just not gonna. I'm not frustrated that when I farm Imperial Troopers, I can't take them into the Rebel Roundup.
No, that's
'cause I
a
know that's
different
not where they're
subject.
meant
It's a
to
different
use.
game mode. Yeah, it's a different game mode, but I mean,
So,
like bounty
it's
hunters,
fair. We can
you
agree.
know?
We can agree to disagree. That's just
I know,
that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I'm not saying you're wrong, and I'm not saying I'm right.
No,
I'm
you
just,
suck. Everyone unsubscribe from RSG right now.
Son of a bitch! I'll kill you.
But I think, I mean, this just goes to the point
Your
about
poopy head.
different
Poopy
levels of engagement. That I think it's totally right that 3v3 is a different game and different teams are viable, and some teams like the GLs become more powerful, but then other teams like Troopers or even Gas becomes much less effective
Yeah.
as a defensive team in 3-on-3. And so it's really a question of whether you as an individual player have an appetite for putting the time in to adjust how you play for this game mode. And many people don't, some people do. It's I think that is both the appeal and the downside of these 3v3 GAs. I think it is something very different from what we're grinding through every other day. But that also means there's a huge spike in terms of time and thought commitment to doing it properly. And if you want and are able to put that time and work in, then it's going to be much more appealing than if you're trying to do what you do in 5s and finding out that it doesn't work.
Very well said.
A lot of the issues I feel could be resolved if they brought in a mode that allowed us to use 3v3 to test things or play 3v3 more often instead of only Grand Arena, only every 3 months, 6 months, whatever the case is.
Yeah. Yep, I think, I completely agree. So, very well said on all counts. And the one last thing I can't resist calling out is when Ranger, when you called me a poopy, reminded me of Anchorman when the guy's like, "You poo face, you poo
I
mouth,
love Lamp. I love Lamp.
you poo poo. I hate you, Ron Burgundy." All right, let's move on to the next subject. We got to talk about Galactic Challenges. Now, I have just heard through the grapevine, through some pretty reliable connections, that Galactic Challenges is, for now, a one-phase battle. All of the Galactic Challenges. Now, obviously, that's going to be subject to change, and take all of that with a grain of salt. But I wanted to ask how everyone would feel about this. I think probably the biggest concern about Galactic Challenges many people have is there's going to be Assault Battles 2.0. It's going to be these long, drawn-out battles. And so for me personally, hearing that it will be a one-phase battle makes me a lot more optimistic about this game mode. I wanted to get the chat's take on how you guys feel about that. Cohen, let's start with you.
Well, Galactic challenges. Well, you know what? As I've mentioned before and everything, you know what? If it's like assault battles and it's like 8 rounds and stuff, I can understand where it would be where it would be challenging and everything. But we don't know what characters are going to be needed for this yet and everything, because there could be certain factions that we need, like Imperial troopers, bounty hunters. There could even be what if in the future, this is just coming straight off the press of my mind, but what if in the future they add a buff to this thing, or a slight tweak that says Galactic Legends are needed, if they add like a mythic tier or whatever. I mean, some people will be able to do it and everything, don't get me wrong, but some people will be frustrated because it's one tier for right now. And you know what? That's awesome and everything. But still, like I said, I don't know what factions are going to be needed for it. CG is not telling us what factions are going to be needed for this, and that goes back to the point of their failure to communicate with us as a community and everything. It's frustrating.
Yeah. It is remarkable that we haven't heard anything about Galactic challenges. They told us a month and a week ago, more than that, as we're recording this, and still no word, unfortunately. Let's see here. Partik, what do you think about it? If that's true.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the 8-tier assault battles. They take so long.
Yeah.
So, I mean, having shorter battles, but perhaps more of them, I think is a good thing. That would be welcome news. I mean, I guess we'll have to see what they look like in more detail, but I mean, the super long multi-wave encounters are not my favorite. I'll put it that way.
Yep. And I think probably the biggest problem with that, what I keep encountering with assault battles, for example, is when you get to the very end of the battle, you've done the grind, you've put in your time, you make it to the end, and it all falls apart, and you just wasted 25 minutes for nothing. And that's happened to me so many times in assault battles.
Oh, just having flashbacks. Well, at least you can do the bounty hunter one where you go with the full relic team and like, oh, they took 50 turns, I'm dead. Okay, well,
yeah, at least that one they tell you at the beginning, nope, you're not ready for this.
Pretty
Just
much,
go home. Any other takes on that? How do you guys feel about the prospect of a one-phase gig for Galactic Challenges?
Well, it depends on what they work. It depends on how they're going to do it, right? So we got from the data mine that there's going to be a new ticket system. So I'm wondering if it's going to be unlimited battles, right? The battle itself is going to be super hard.
Yeah.
Which I like a challenge, but I'm also, for me, the thing was, the battle should be accessible to most players, right? That's the thing that I was always concerned about. Yeah, anybody can do it, but if you don't have relics on the team, for a lot of newer players and stuff, will that diminish people's interest in that? Because then they're not able to participate, right? That's my biggest thing, is participation. That was the biggest thing I wanted from this new event, is that I want everybody to be able to do it, and in some part get some kind of reward from it, right?
Yeah.
If you just want to make it one battle, but there's like a couple tiers where everybody can participate based off their level and gear level and the teams that they have, right? Then I'm for it. But if it's just, here's Galactic Challenges, is one battle, if you have to have Relic 5.
Yeah.
Well, that's poopy.
You poop ACG.
I'm going with the poop theme. Since you started that again. So yeah, again, we're still kind of left in the dark here, but if it's where there's different, like 1, 2, 3 tier, right?
Yeah.
Each one's a little bit higher level gear. Each one, and it's one battle, and then you get tickets, and you can keep doing it over and over again, so you can get gear and stuff. I think that'd be cool, but it depends. Again, we're kind of in the lurch about some of these minutiae of details.
Yeah, and they have made it clear that you can participate in an unlimited way in these, and when they said that, it just didn't strike me as you can participate if you will. It did not appear to be that to me. So maybe this ticket system is, maybe this is their way around rewards, where if you want to spend tickets on the event, if you've got the tickets, then you're eligible for rewards. But if you've maxed out your tickets, you can still go in and do whatever you want. There just won't be rewards. That's my speculation for the day.
I'm interested in what the Mace Lover Rambam has to say.
Speak to us, Mace Lover.
Well, so I'm not a fan of the assault battles. Obviously, the A tiers, it happens all the time. I mean, what do we have today? We have Secrets and Shadows, and my Night Sisters can't beat, tier 2.
Yeah,
They get all the way up to the end and they just die. So
they just die.
They just die. That's just yeah, they just die. So I'm not a fan of that. I like the idea of a one battle tier system. That's going to be interesting and cool. I feel like it doesn't line up with their theme of the characters that they've released late. And I'm talking about 3PO Chewbacca and Mon Mothma, both of which have been designed as multi-tier characters where they're going to exceed in multi-tier challenges, and they're coming out before Galactic challenges. So I feel as though, why would CG, based on what they've done in the past, when they release characters and then they release something, light side territory battles or something like that, and that character is like uniquely good for that game mode, I just have a hard time believing that it's going to be and I'm not saying you're wrong for whatever inside info you've gotten. It just doesn't line up to me.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. Don't tell me this.
Turn the logic at him. Get him, Rambam.
Somebody get him out of here. Get him out of here. All right.
It just doesn't line up,
I mean, it would make sense for those newly introduced characters to be a buff for light side territory battles, since so many guilds are finding that those so difficult still.
Right.
I think the thing I'm curious about is whether this turn meter tie interaction fix is related to some late stage testing of the Galactic Challenges events. Like if they've been looking at having, whether it's like event buffs with turn meter effects or just testing some of these turn meter oriented teams in these challenges and finding issues with the interactions, perhaps on the defensive side, on the AI side, who knows. It seems plausible to me that there's a relationship between this fix coming finally, when like this turn meter issue has been out there for a long time, and that fix coming with Galactic Challenges on the horizon. Those seem related to me, but I obviously don't have inside information about that.
Okay, cool. All right. Unless there's anything else you guys want to add on that tidbit of information, I do need to get some questions going. Toyota, could you drop one at a time when we're ready? Just drop one at a time in the Twitch chat what the questions are, and then I will ask them. We are recording this live on Twitch. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys ever want to check out a Whale Chat live, be sure to come over to my Twitch stream. We record them Fridays at noon Pacific Standard Time. So, Toyota, you sent them to me in a DM. Okay, here, I'll just pull them off. I'll just do that. Okay,
I will say that if CG has done their, if they're truly being nice and they've sent out Mon Mothma and 3PO Chewbacca as a here's light side territory battles, make it easier for you type thing, awesome. Yeah. Based on the past stuff that they've done, when they release a new event or something like that, and they release a character side, along with it, that character is usually required, or going to make that event a lot easier. So,
I just want to know. My question is for Cubs. How's that Galactic Legend farm coming there, baby?
I'm about halfway. Actually, I've got six of the characters at Gear 13 now. Got another 6 to go.
You're going after Kylo, right?
What?
Going after Kylo, right?
Yeah. That's the clear favorite for me. So, all right, let's get in the questions now. Q&A, guys. This is how this is gonna work. Everybody gets one question. We're gonna rotate down the line. We'll start from the top and go down. Give a brief answer, because we're towards the end of our time here, and we will be out of here. So, Cohen, you get the first question. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
All right, Cohen's ready.
Yes.
If CG makes another raid, how could they nerf Galactic Legends so it doesn't solo and ruin the raid? That's from Jeff Lost.
Throw me under the bus early. I love it. Basically, you know what? This is an issue because Hermit Yoda, as we know, can make Supreme Leader Kylo Ren go crazy in a raid and everything. As we know, I've seen footage of it from Arnold's channel and everything. Here's the thing: Wat Tambor, Hermit Yoda, those characters. If CG were to somehow manipulate the raid and make it to where you can't take certain characters in to give the Galactic Legend more of an advantage, that could be a potential nerf to the raid right there to make it more fair. Now, knowing CG like I do, I sincerely doubt they're going to do that because guess what? It's CG's world. We're just lucky enough to be living in it. Am I right?
I'm so happy.
I think something else that they would potentially do. I think that's a good point, Darth Cohen. I love what you said at the end. I also think that maybe they would take specific aspects of their kit and add verbiage in their kits that these components don't apply to raids. Would maybe be the case if they did release a new raid, but I think that also might be exactly why we have not got a new raid and why they bagged their raid that they did say they're working on. All right, next up, we got a question from the legend Jarek. He says, and this is going to be for Partik, how would you feel about a Grand Arena banning draft? After joining, each participant in the bracket bans one character from the other team.
I don't know. I generally favor simplicity of rules over complexity.
Yeah.
I mean, my idea for Grand Arena fixing the matchmaking is that I think that there should be more of like a promotion relegation system so that like really successful players who might not have 7 million, 8 million GP can move up.
Right.
Who, like for example, you have all these Wolfpack players who are great in GA and like they could compete, I think many of them, against much thicker rosters. And that seems like a logical thing to do. You've also got guys who have bigger rosters who don't really care very much or don't have good mods or whatever, who would probably be better matched up against thinner rosters. And so like you could easily have a system where, so something I've been toying with is, what if you had, let's say, a group of 3 instead of a group of 8, and like each of those, all 3 of those players like played each other, like you had 2 rounds, and then if somebody,
like a round robin,
the person who finishes first moves up like a band of GP, the person who finishes last moves down, and the person in the center stays put. And you do that for a couple of stages, and then you have much more of like a ladder system where you need to rely less on these arbitrary hard lines between like Division 1, Division 2. You just let people ladder up or down. And maybe this even occurs over multiple GAs, right? Like Territory War is like a 12-war cycle. You could have this occur over multiple championships, and then you really get to something that more closely resembles a true championship at the end across all these different GP bands, where I think you would certainly have players who are not in the top 100 GP competing at the very top in the end. But they don't have that opportunity right now. But in the same way, you've got guys with thinner rosters finishing very high up who never have to test themselves against like deeper bench players. So I think there are many changes that could be made, but I think those changes occur at the matchmaking level rather than changing like the squads that can be used during it.
Very well said. I like it, and I like the other solutions. I would love to see them in general just do a lot more customization of Grand Arena. All right, Ram Bam, next question goes to you. This is from another legend, That's No Moon, one of my new favorite YouTubers out there. Favorite characters not currently in the game that you'd love to see make an appearance? You cannot say Mace.
Damn it. I don't think the question actually said you cannot say mace. Come on now.
Yeah, it says that. It says that.
I mean, for the love of God, Rambam, be creative.
Yeah. You can't say new versions of Mace.
Oh man, why'd you gotta put me on the spot? Damn. Oh man.
You come on here, you're gonna get put on the spot, buddy. Gonna get put on the spot.
We could really use. All right. Hold on. Two things. First off, Darth Maul, Robolegs, or Crime Syndicate Darth Maul.
Love it.
All right. And please, for the love of God, can we get another version of Leia? Just some version of Leia. Indoor Leia, Slave Leia, although that will never happen.
Why not? Tell me why not.
You know, old General Leia.
It's canon.
It is canon, but CG. You know.
What if they bring Jabba to the game and he's got Slave Leia right there?
Jabba would be amazing. He'd have to be a Watt character or a Geo Brute Alpha Brute character. He takes up that 6 spot and he just buffs the hell out of that.
Let me take it next level. He is a galactic legend. Okay, he's a galactic legend, and his ultimate ability, Leia kills him, and then just goes into full ape mode. It's just Leia there in her bikini. Make it happen, CG. All right. Next question. Next question. This is a good question for Ranger. Okay. The Grand Admiral. I don't think this is Arnold, for the record. But the question is, for a free-to-play guild leader, how can we lead in our guilds?
Well, it depends. Well, leadership is it's pretty broad, but I mean, leadership is, I've always been a couple of mindsets about leadership. Leadership is, you set the example for others to follow.
Yep.
So never ask anybody to do something you wouldn't do. And I think good leadership is just strong direction, right? Sometimes you may not have all the information you need, right? And you have to be able to be flexible. But I think setting a path and a goal is always key, right? Decide on, first of all, as a guild leader, what do we want to do? Are we more competitive? Do we want to be more competitive? Do we want to be more casual? And then set the ground rules based off that, right? If you're going to be more casual, how casual? Like, what's the standards? As a free-to-play guild, you're not requiring people to, there's no spending. People can spend if they want, right? Unless, you're true free to play. But you can set a suggestion more than a direction in that case. But you have to, no matter what it is, you have to set the parameters. Like, and you have to be honest with yourself about that. And then you have to see if the people that are in the guild are cool with that, right? Some may not, and they're going to leave. And there might be some people that like your idea and may want to come in. So there's going to be an adjustment period until you finally get that good synergy of people that are on board with what you're doing and the gameplay that you guys are trying to develop and stuff. And then, good communication with them and just talking about like what we're trying to do here and things. I think as long as you do all that kind of stuff, and you'll be fine, no matter whether you want to be super competitive or free to play.
I think
I had a point to this.
I'm really glad Ranger took that question because I thought that was a brilliant answer. Partik, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, really quick. I think it is very important that the guild leader not have the strongest roster in the guild. I mean, you have to think about managing goals and expectations for all 50 members. And so, at least like I can say for my guild, like when we as officers are thinking about mod targets and specs and other things, like it's important not just to come up with things that the folks with the biggest mod depth can achieve or the most, the largest crystal stash can wail on, but it's about what's something that is achievable and repeatable 1 to 50 that is consistently something that will work for everyone. And I think having folks in leadership who reflect the diversity of playing styles and level of investment in the guild is extremely important. It can't just be like your best and largest roster players.
Very good discussion. I wasn't expecting that particular discussion. I think that's really good. Probably an undercovered topic out there. I think a lot of guild leaders are just kind of thrown out to the wolves and what do you do with guild leadership? And so hopefully that helped somebody out there. I think it likely will. So, all right, we're going to wrap up. We got one more question to ask, and I'm going to get everybody's answer for this. I just want a number from you guys. How much money are you willing to spend on Baby Yoda if he came to the game? That's from Remember Zelda. Cohen, how much money? Give me a dollar amount. How much money are you going to spend for Baby Yoda?
Whatever it takes.
So you put a little infinity sign there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cohen will do whatever it takes. Partik, how much you willing to spend on Baby Yoda?
I mean,
I need a
I
number.
think it probably. My hopes are it would be a marquee, so that would be like $300.
You're hoping for a marquee. Okay. Ram Bam?
Provided that I'm actually going to spend, that CG is actually working with me now. Yeah, whatever it takes.
Would Baby Yoda instantly make you adjust your spending pledge, or you need other stuff to happen?
No, Baby Yoda would not adjust it.
Okay.
There would have to be other factors.
So 0 for you unless things change.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Ranger?
Over 9,000.
Not Dragon Ball Z meme.
I had to do it. I'm not the biggest Baby Yoda fan. I'm the biggest Mando fan. But
Okay.
yeah, I'd spend 300. I mean, it's Baby Yoda, for God's sakes. I mean, how could you have Mando in your roster like I do, Relic, to not have Baby Yoda? I mean, that's just criminal. So yeah, I'd fork the money over.
If Baby Yoda cost $1,000, would you do it?
I'd have to think about that. I'm like, well, let's see how much I can get for 3. I can the rest
We've all
of this
given
crap.
numbers. We've all given numbers. Cubs, it's yours. You got to give a number.
Imagine Dragons has one of my favorite songs, and their song goes, "Whatever it takes."
But would you work on Baby Yoda first, Cubs, or finish your Supreme Color?
No,
Whatever it takes after you ask the wife, right?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I would definitely ditch my farm of Kylo to get Baby Yoda. That would be an insta ditch. So
That's interesting.
no, I would definitely want to keep it under $300. To go over $300 would be something that would be very,
Madness.
very, very hard for me to wrap my mind around. So I'd say 300 is probably my max. So, all right, fam, thank you so much for joining me for the whale chat. This is a weekly video. Sorry we missed it last week, but we drop these on Saturday mornings and record them on Fridays. If you guys want to come join them again, we're recording them live on Twitch at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Want to thank Partik, our Car Patrol representative, Ram Bam Ranger, and our brand new guest, Cohen. You can find 3 of these gentlemen on YouTube and some of them on Twitch. I've got links down below. Partik, I don't believe you're not in the content scene at all, right? You're just a friendly citizen.
I have a podcast. What are you talking about?
You have a podcast? Okay, wow! I didn't know you had a podcast.
Epic news! Oh my God.
We're all content creators. Okay, so I'll drop links to everybody's stuff down below. I guess everybody's got something, so be sure to check out all of that good stuff. You want to hear more from these fine, esteemed gentlemen. So, all right, everyone, thanks again for joining me for the video. And as always, my brothers, don't forget